Red Wings tonight, they wrap up the season. They are in Tampa Bay to play the Lightning. However you want to shake it down as you look at the season in review or whatever, I just want to touch base with everyone and see what you thought. I think even the most, I don't want to say Red Wing hater because I don't think there's a lot of Red Wing haters out there. The non-believer, even the most non-believer has to say there was improvement. And D-Mac, look, for as animated as I got during the season with some of the players and things like that, I think that you have to admit that there was progress. And the free agency period last year, Steve Yzerman went and made this an NHL team for the most part. They were an NHL team. They had a veteran presence of guys that played. You knew what you were going to get. You got it from them. And you have to be happy with the progress. Now, I know where you're at. And you to give you credit, from the end of last season, you said through next season, then next year's the year, it's playoff time.
Yeah,
those were your words. So next year's playoff time.
Hopefully we were down.
Did you see enough, D-Mac, to say that's the
I did,
possibility?
And here's the cherry on top. In the last week of the season, you had 5 of Steve Yzerman's first rounders, all of them, in your lineup. Boom, mic drop. That's what it is. That means progress. That means guys coming up, and that doesn't even include Jonathan Berger and the progress of Sider and Raymond and different things like that. Now, they still need areas to improve, but they showed me enough. And here's the one thing, Neal, and I'm just telling you from a culture locker room, they also went through, like we were talking about earlier and relating losing in the playoffs before we won to your taxes. Dylan Larkin, as the leader, or that whole dressing room, lost an integral part in Tyler Bertuzzi, right? They experienced that emotional loss, which is as you're getting better, you're going to lose guys at different times, and that was the closest one. So the way that after you could see it affected for a few games, but then they bounced back out of it, and I think it's the leadership and the progress enough. I said at the beginning of the year, if the goal was to be last week of the season and you got to win 2 games to get in the playoffs, we were just short of that, right? I think the goal was like 85 points, and we might be able to get 82, but there's a reason for it. There's ways that we got to improve. It'll be interesting, but now this is when Steve Yzerman cooks. We got to see what the next biggest thing is. Where do we fall in the draft? And I think that somebody pointed out in the WoodwardSports.com chat is that if Washington wins tonight, that would put us another percentage towards getting the first pick. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. What's meant to be. At the end of the day, hashtag why is it playing 1919, baby?
And just to give a voice to the people I was talking about, Austin Harris says there was progress, but I'm still extremely disappointed considering he had a wild card spot and just kind of fell apart after that. And that's fair. That's fair to say. And I had those questions too. Don't get me wrong, Austin. I had those questions too. But they did this weird thing where like Steve Yzerman came out and like talked and explained his thought process to it, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I can get with that. And his words were, under no circumstances were we considering ourselves a buyer because the project's not finished yet. And that's all I needed to hear, because he's got that juice, right? 19 stands up there and talks, you listen. That's the way that it's always been. And that's why, again, with the Red Wings and where they're at, I will cut them more ice, so to say, than I do with the Tigers, because he's upfront about it and says, look, I wasn't stepping in. I know everybody, and look, we're going to fight this a lot across all sports where everybody's fans are a pit bull on a leash, right? And you heard the people say, go get this person, go get that person, trade away draft picks, go get this, second line center and stuff like that. Like everybody was just foaming at the mouth. And even I was like, hey guys, easy right here. You know what I'm saying? And of course, Steve Yzerman never for a second thought of that. And that's what made me feel better about it. He's holding the line.
It's like the old military where, they're going to fire the arrows and the general's holding them. He's not shooting it early. He's not waiting. He knows exactly when he wants to fire him. It's Steve Yzerman. That's at the end of the day. There's holes to fill and in progress, but it's all these different things. As you nailed it, Neal. Remember the old E.F. Hutton? That's
Yeah.
what we used to, like, Steve Yzerman's nickname Silk, Smooth as Silk. But we would always joke, okay, Hutton. Like E.F. Hutton, when E.F. Hutton talks, people listen. But just listen when he talks because he'll tell you. And that's all I do. And then I look at my little code book that I was raised with all these guys with, and then I decode it a little bit if it needs decoding. So they're right where I thought they'd be, they need to be, and it's not time to fire those arrows, right? He knows when it's time.
WoodwardSports.com chat thread. Kevin Donaldson says, can we celebrate that Crosby's getting his golf clubs out already, too? And Kevin, usually I would say no, that's like a Michigan State fan thing. Like, that's where they would go. Except in this case, I would sign off on that because, yes, the Penguins are out. And they lost to the Blackhawks at home.
That's the thing that's going to...
I love it.
That's going to... if Sidney Crosby, like, just flares one right and the OB or duck hooks one left, that's what he's thinking. We gosh darn lost to Chicago.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Well, hey, nice job, Ron Hextall. You're doing a great job out there with Pittsburgh. I don't know if you're friends with them or not. My apologies if I put you in a bad spot with that.
Ron Hextall?
Yeah.
Wait, what? I don't think he likes me very much.
Yeah, well, the Hextall family has hurt the game of hockey this year. We'll just say it. We'll just say it like that.
Oh, this year. Okay,
Yeah.
not back in '97.
No. This year, the Hextall family hurt the game of hockey. I'll just leave it like that.
Okay.
What was that look for, Sam Flannel?
No, just it's an uncomfortable truth, I would just say.
Okay.
That was what the look was.
All right,
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, it was. Dan G says, how much longer does Yzerman get? Let me ask you that, D-Mac.
Next year's playoffs, like he gets honestly as long as he needs, but he's building, and it depends. Like things could change. Let's see where if we get one of the first 2 draft picks, you know, next year my expectations are playoffs. If they don't make the playoffs, I don't care what happens if half the team is hurt, whatever like this. There's no excuses. Playoffs next year, and then you have to give them 2 years
to go
figure
through
out
that
the
playoff process.
So it's like 4 years to get to the finals, or if you've moved along because you've gotten in the process and added guys, you can speed up quicker. So it's the whole thing, Neal. It's about getting back there and being the foundation to be a playoff team consistently. That's what it is. And to be able to at least get to the conference finals every year. The same mentality that Scotty Bowman instilled in us.
Kenton Hargraves is second. It's almost 5:30 here in Sweden. It's time for me to cook dinner. Thanks for putting this on YouTube. I'd rather get my sports from you guys than other media outlets. Well, Kenton, we appreciate you tapping in all the way from Sweden, by the way. What? Making meatballs? No, but we appreciate you tapping in from over there.
Did you shop at IKEA today?
Did ya? Hey, you enjoying that free health care? Detroit Dabber said they would have been eliminated in the first round and had a worse pick had they stayed a wild card team. And look, you guys know where I am with it and everything that goes along. I will do this real quick before we cut to the break. And I wanted to see where everybody was. And it's about what I figured.
And here's the thing. I see that Sue you, and thank you, Sue, for always chiming in. Sherrod and Coppercrap, Stevie needs to get star players and draft a Russian. Here's the thing. It's not about a 1 year with these guys. It's why he signed them a longer-term deal. This is more culture and getting involved. Let's see next year. Yes, a down year, obviously on the ice. A cop coming back from a sport hernia surgery. I've had 3 of them. It takes like a year to figure it out, but it's more about the culture in the locker room. With the cop edition is more for Dylan Larkin to have, a right-hand man. Right, because of the relationship and stuff like that. Like, there's so many different intricacies going on in Ben Sherratt. He's just fine. It's stuff like this until he's not. So it's Steve Yzerman putting it together. I see how he's putting it together, and at the end of the day, he knows best.